Not at all what I expected. While I was waiting to be paid for the next month, I decided I needed to speed up proceedings and took 6 days off, then proceeded to purchase 8 small brown whole nutmegs of unknown origin from my local Weigh and Save shop in England. Having tried a few times to smoke the stuff before, both the whole and pre-ground varieties, all I succeeded in doing was getting a tiny, almost unnoticeable pot-like buzz, which could well have been attributed to placebo, and ruining a great bong that had seen some good times with this smelly, earthy shite. Next, I bought a very sturdy-looking chrome pepper mill and a cheese grater, then went up to my room and tried to grind the nutmeg up. Well, it wouldn't fit into the bloody mill, so I wrapped it up in a few big carrier bags, went to the shed, and crushed the shit up no problem in the vise of my dad's old workbench. Then I put the now half-powdered stuff in the mill and ground away for about 2 hours. Nutmeg is really tough and the mill wasn't up to the job, so I did what I could with it, then simply pulled apart any remaining chunks with my nails. Next, I left it to one side for the night and got really, really drunk, which is another one of my vices, sorry, and in hindsight, this may well have contributed to the odd effects of nutmeg that are described later. The next morning, I was up at 10 and ready to go at 10:30. I just reiterate all the other reports in saying that this stuff really doesn't go down easily. I don't agree that it's the taste of nutmeg that is really to blame for this. It's definitely the sandy, ashy, earthy texture. I took it between 10:45 a.m. and 12 noon with a lot of water. Seriously, I'm talking in the region of 3 liters, and with a break between each of 5 teaspoons I ingested. During this time, I felt only a little nausea, as the water does help a lot, as does smoking the odd straight, if you smoke. However, I do have an iron-hard stomach, and I still retched once or twice at the moment this stuff hit the back of my throat. I'd recommend letting it sit on your tongue and then downing a lot of water, nutmeg and all. Get chugging the water from a wide-brimmed jug or bottle as soon as the spoon enters your mouth. So, at 1200 hours, the real account begins. 1200 to 1400 hours. The only discernible effect is a neither pleasant nor unpleasant, really mild pot-like buzz, as can be achieved by smoking nutmeg. My feelings of anticipation quickly fade and are replaced by a small initial feeling of disappointment, tempered by consoling thoughts that persuaded me to believe the previous accounts stating that this stuff takes a good 5 hours to kick in. 1400 to 1700 hours. Ever conscious of the internet research I conducted before soiling my soul with this shit, I begin to look for the expected effects, and notice only slightly brighter colors on the ever-white canvas that is the background of a Google search. Every few minutes my head recoils in fits of blinking, involuntary I might add, which ensues as I struggle to give my pupils some relief from the deluge of light. This, coupled with the slightly increased pot-like buzz, almost convinced me the experiment was worth the effort. 1700 to 1800 hours. I grew tired of reading web pages and decided to pay my mom a visit in the next room. She's playing James Pond 2 Robocod via a Genesis emulator on an old PC I had rigged for her. Interaction with her is at first a daunting but necessary prospect, but I quickly realize I have a hard-to-describe bond with her above and beyond what usually exists. I grow immensely self-satisfied at the computer she was enjoying that was a result of my labors, and read into the hidden or sarcastic meanings of what she was saying to me. In short, not a style I'm known for, I felt satisfied with my nutmeg experience, felt it was worthwhile, and began to anticipate with glee the coming effects. I now feel hungry and decide that I will go to my Chinese chippy, fish and chip shop, for some curry sauce for my dinner. The local one is closed for refurbishment, so I have to venture further afield, to the nearest nice chippy. As I leave the house, I notice the daylight immediately, and it rips me from my dull mind frame. As I walk down the oh-so-familiar streets, I feel a strange sensation that there is a hidden depth to these streets, and I chart my own imagined history, from the times of Neanderthals to the present day, all of this set in my hometown, and lasting a minute or two. Unlike the trips I have experienced when really piled up on 8 or so E's, I was always in complete control of the thought process. It was only this, no visual or auditory trips occurred at all, and was able to drift to this state at will, then return to reality when I chose or when I was forced to. In the shop I was calm and relaxed, but on the way back home my mind began to wander again, and I analyzed in detail my views on life, what is expected of me, how I can improve my lot, and what drugs I will try over the coming weeks. Again, I was always able to exit these bouts of deep thought at will, and able to resume them at the point of exit when I saw fit. I think controlled is the most accurate description, but I did perceive colors and light as brighter than one would normally expect for the entire journey, and this effect was most uncontrollable. 1800 to 300 hours. I get really drunk as I always do and cannot perceive any nutmeg related fun at all. 300 to 1100 hours. I sleep as sound as a pound with no problems. No deep thoughts, hallucinations, or dreams that I can remember. 1100 to 1730 hours. I read the web in about a quarter of Terry Pratchett's The Fifth Element, but noticed nothing other than a dull in the head feeling, extremely similar to that experienced after smoking pot in the morning, then not smoking anymore for the rest of the day. But I still found the day to be more relaxing and fulfilling than I would be without nutmeg. 1730 to 200 hours. I just drank a lot and went to bed. The nutmeg was dismissed and long forgotten. Strangely enough, my experience account is really dull. The experience itself was almost dismissible as a non-event, but the day after this was really good fun as the real experience began. I woke up really relaxed but fully alert. My pupils were dilated like after an E or two, and I felt an underlying sense that life really wasn't so bad at all. My muscles were drained and wasted, but in a pleasant way. The weird tingles in my legs were incredibly enjoyable, and the slightest little attempt at humor was hilarious to me. This approached upon an MDMA-like euphoria, but fell short by quite a margin. When later I got drunk as usual, the nutmeg enhanced a procedure I am very familiar with by replacing depression with a sense of well-being. Overall, this was an enjoyable but disappointing experience, and it took too long for the spice to reach fruition. One thing I would suggest is that you really do plan ahead, as I did, and take 2 to 4 days off or take nutmeg in a school/college holiday. It seems the high was low and the low was high. The after effects are a must in my opinion, but there was no rush and therefore no real hit. I'm sure I'll try it again in a larger dose. However, this is an unusual, almost weird drug that may disappoint as much as it will exhilarate.